Since my video last week was about my move to Holly Springs from Cary, and one of the big reasons I moved was because I could get a much nicer home in Holly Springs for the same money, I thought it would be fun and interesting to look at what you'll get for the same money in 5 different areas around the triangle. $500,000 was a nice round number to start with, but if you're interested in a different price point or you want me to compare specific locations, please leave that in the comments below, because this was a really fun video to make and I would really like to make more videos like this. This week I looked at homes that were all listed at $500,000, give or take 100, and the cities I went to were Cary, Apex, Wake Forest, Wendell, and Clayton. Generally speaking, the further away from RTP that you go, the more your money will buy you. Let's take a look at what we found. So this house here in Apex is a little under 1,700 square feet. It's on a pretty small lot, but it's fenced. It's got a nice storage unit back there. It's got a 1-car garage. And the difference between something in this price point in this area, you're really paying for the location. So there's a fantastic greenway that runs through the neighborhood. We're about 2 miles from downtown Apex, and you're walkable to so many things over on Olive Chapel Road. There's a bunch of restaurants and little shops over there. There's a Publix over there. So there's like everything within just a few minutes of right here, and that's really what you're paying for. You can see a little bit of the architecture in this home. Victorians were really popular in here, and they had a lot of really kind of unique architectural elements to all of the homes, and it makes the neighborhood just feel really beautiful as you drive through, and that's what a lot of people love, the great big porches and the old-fashioned kind of style that you see all over Scotts Mill. Okay, so this house is right in the middle of Cary, and you're definitely paying for, again, for your location, but you also have some amazing features on this house. So the first things first, this house doesn't have a garage, but it is on over a half an acre lot, which is extremely difficult to find in Cary. Even in this age range, like usually if you look at older homes like built in the 60s, 70s, you'll find these larger lots, but this was built in the 90s, so newer. I mean, not new, but newer, but it's had a complete gut and remodel, and it's been really well done. So we're gonna take a look. You've got views throughout the property in all these windows, and a really nice fenced backyard. Half an acre, that's like huge, and they've used it really well. Wait until we get out there to see it. Look at this kitchen. Again, phenomenal views out the kitchen, out the back dining area, but the views are stunning here. Really, really nice. And a creek in the backyard. Wow, that is like super calming and peaceful. I love it. It's right on Lake Pine Road, which is, it's not a huge road, but there is some traffic that you can hear, but it's not super fast traffic. I think it's 35 miles an hour on that road, and there's sidewalks, so you know, there's often people walking back and forth on that road. This is an absolutely stunning yard for this price point in this location. It's amazing, really. But here in this part of Cary, you can walk to so many things from here. You can walk to Trader Joe's, you can walk to Fortnight Brewing, you can walk to Corbett's and Goodberry's. If you haven't been to Goodberry's, that's like a North Carolina must go to immediately when you get here. It's frozen custard, it's amazing. And Corbett's is another kind of local, locally owned little burger joint that is awesome. And there's actually a greenway that connects this whole area, and you can walk underneath Kildare Farm Road, which is kind of a busy road. You can walk underneath it to get to the shops on the other side, which is a great feature. The other homes we're going to look at today are a lot newer than this. So this was built in the 90s. So the ones we're looking at later today are going to have 2-car garages. They're going to be newer. Some of the lots are, actually the lots are a little smaller. This is kind of an unusual thing, and you don't see it that often around here. The Canadians seem to really like us here because their geese have settled in Cary, and they're all over the place. They're now native Canadian geese to Cary, North Carolina, and you will often see their remnants all over the place, and sometimes they'll chase you if they've got little babies, so you gotta watch out for the Canadian geese. This house actually looks a lot nicer in person. This was built in 2002, and it's a little bit bigger. It's actually a decent amount bigger than the last two houses we looked at. It's about 2,100 square feet, but it's a little bit further away from everything. And honestly, that's kind of relative, to be honest with you. So it's actually super close to everything in Wake Forest, but it's going to be a big commute if you have to work in downtown Raleigh or RTP. The traffic can be pretty intense in this part of the triangle. But if you have to work from home, you can definitely get a bigger house on a bigger lot. And this is walkable to like downtown Wake Forest. It's a couple miles, but there's sidewalks the whole way. Just around the corner, there is the factory. It's like an entertainment complex. It's got like all kinds of sports. It's got ice rink, all kinds of different sports things, plus little boutique shops and restaurants and stuff like that. It's all indoors. So you've got that, some cool restaurants over there, and just all kinds of stuff very, very close. So good location as long as you don't need to commute. Who would leave that? I mean, that just makes it so much more difficult for somebody to move in and have to deal with little things like that, whereas they could have somebody come in here for almost no money and fix that. It would make it sell a lot faster having something little like that done. But it's still great. I mean, it's a great home. It's got these beautiful hardwood floors. Okay, so this is something that you see in houses in this age. Like all the houses we've looked at have been kind of late 90s, early 2000s so far, and they all have these really nice solid hardwood floors. Nowadays, a lot of the flooring is engineered hardwoods, which is thinner, so you can refinish them, but you can only do it like a couple times, maybe 3 times if you're lucky. But these, they're really thick, so you can refinish them pretty much as many times as you would need to. I really like these kind of floors, even though they're a little bit older. They feel a little dated, but the dating is because of the stain. You take a quick sanding to these and put a new stain on them, they'll be awesome.
This is the first one that hasn't felt cramped.
Right, yeah, I agree. That extra few hundred square feet definitely makes you feel like you can spread it a little bit. And it's got a 2-car garage, unlike the other properties. One had 1 car, one didn't have a garage at all. So this is one of those houses that, like, if I was working with a buyer, I would tell them to go see it, and the buyer might not be interested in seeing it because the pictures aren't that great. But I've had buyers like fall in love with houses where the pictures weren't great and they didn't want to see it, and I had them see it anyway. And when you get there, it shows really nicely. This is a really beautiful backyard. It's super quiet here. The house is in good condition. It needs a couple little cosmetic things, but it's in really nice condition. Nice solid cabinets, good countertops, and it feels solid. It doesn't feel like it wasn't built well when you walk through it. So this is one of those houses that's like a kind of hidden gem sort of thing. I really like this house. So the last 2 properties we're going to see, they're actually a little bit farther out of town than the first 3 that we saw. And because of that, you're going to get about 2,500 square feet of space, as opposed to the earlier ones were a lot smaller. And lots can be about the same or maybe slightly bigger, but for the most part, the lots are pretty similar. The first property we're looking at here in Wendell is, it's in Wendell Falls, which is kind of a luxury style community. They've got absolutely gorgeous amenities, and that's what you're getting in exchange for not being super convenient to a lot of things. And like we just saw, they're building a lot of stuff around here, so it will eventually build up. This is part of what's called a Newland community, and Newland communities build throughout the country, and they're known for their outstanding amenities, and they always end up having really high property values over time. They tend to build out in the country because they need such a large piece of land to build the type of the amenities they want to build, and so they do tend to be kind of out in the country for a little while, but they always build up around them just because they're such beautiful, well-managed neighborhoods with really great activities and great amenities that they end up being really popular. A lot of people move from one Newland community to another. Like once you've lived in a Newland, you kind of only want to live there. So if you move someplace else, you look for another Newland community. They're really popular. So this house in Wendell Falls that we're just getting ready to look at is about 2,500 square feet. It's on a pretty small lot, but you see that they're really beautifully laid out, and they're designed to have a lot of like social interaction between neighbors, so you can kind of see all the other homes, but that's done purposefully, and it's got a 2-car garage. Okay, so this is another one of those properties that looks way better in person than it does on the MLS. And this is another great example of you go a little bit farther outside of town and the quality just astronomically increases. The features in this home are just beautiful, much higher end than anything else that we've seen. These beautiful wide plank floors, all of the upgrades in the kitchen, and the really beautiful fixtures, the high ceilings, the really tall doors that all have transoms over them, tons of upgraded trim, and it's just really beautiful. It's just a beautifully laid out home. It's also a really unique floor plan, so I haven't seen anything like this before. Kind of a double wide hallway that goes back through the kitchen, but then also to the like private family spaces of the home. It's really, really pretty. You saw when we came in those beautiful streetscapes. You don't see anything like this. It really feels like you're at the coast, and it's meant to feel that way. It feels very like North Carolina coast. It's just got such a quaint and kind of picturesque view of everything as you drive around the neighborhood. Really pretty. You get more square footage and newer homes in a master plan community in Wendell and in Clayton, but you kind of need that planned community in those areas because the towns themselves don't offer as much infrastructure as Cary and Apex, which are more developed. Cary or Apex have many parks and lots of variety and shopping, and you're much closer to RTP and the airport, but all of the towns are about 25 minutes from downtown Raleigh, and Wendell Falls is only 17 minutes to downtown Raleigh. So even in Clayton and Wendell, it's not like you're way out in the country. So tell me down in the comments which of these homes you would have bought if you were in the market right now. I'm really curious. And if you like this video, you might like this one. It gives a lot more details about why it's cheaper to buy on the east side of Raleigh.